This is the part 4 of digging every corner of Konoha. Hope you like this video guys, enjoy. Chapter 41, Unexpected Surprise. Not to mention the actions between the several villages, just as Kyo and others said, Asahi and Iwagakyo's army did arrive at Tsunegakyo first, and when Asahi arrived, Rosa retreated without saying anything. Anyway, he would not admit defeat, he doesn't surrender either, and just dragging. However, Asahi always act together with the large army, so even if they arrived first, they can't reach Tsunegakyo's army. The information that Rosa received requires him to hold on for 2 days, and the powerhouses from Kirigakyo and Kumogakyo will arrive. At that time, it won't be a problem to kill Asahi while taking advantage of the night. Guest from Iwagakyo, I welcome you to our camp. After everyone met, Orochimaru brought some people out to greet the Iwagakyo's people. Orochimaru's current appearance is not as crazy as it would be after. Although his skin is a little too white and looks a little weird, but it doesn't have the weirdness at the later stage. Right now, he hasn't completely fallen into that crazy stage. Asahi and Konga smiled after seeing Orochimaru. After entering Konoha's camp, Asahi also used the previous trick to deal with Fugaku, and directly stuffed a small note to Orochimaru. In addition to the time and place of the meeting, there are only 2 words, eternal life, which Orochimaru has been pursuing. Orochimaru can't resist the temptation from eternal life, and after the war is over, Minato will be in power, then there will be nothing Orochimaru can do. Moreover, Danzo will definitely sell out Orochimaru as he's useless to him at that time, so even if Orochimaru can't be poached now, he can easily poach him after Orochimaru defected. As for whether Asahi has mastered eternal life, he hasn't mastered it, but he has experience. Isn't Otsutsuki Clan can be said to have eternal life? Although Sage of 6 Paths can only achieve an alternative version of eternal life, but with Orochimaru's knowledge and wisdom, it's not a big problem as long as Asahi can get someone from the Otsutsuki Clan for Orochimaru to research. In short, he still has a lot of chips that Orochimaru will be interested in, so he is not afraid that Orochimaru will not be tempted. Iwagakyo's arrival can only be called the icing on the cake for Konoha. After everyone chatted for a while, Asahi and the others left and returned to their own camp. However, after returning, Asahi got a copy of information from Onaki. This piece of information is about the land of whirlpools and Uzumaki Kushina. Asahi wants to dig the Yondaime couple, but he does not seem to be able to dig Minato unless Minato knows about what will happen to Naruto in the future, but if Minato knows about it, it won't happen as he is still alive, and if Asahi waited until he's dead to poach him, it will be even more meaningless. Therefore, Asahi simply set his sights on Kushina. Of course, whether to dig or not depends on the situation. Just like now, the information he got was about the land of whirlpools, and the land of whirlpools' destruction was tricky. According to the truth, the land of whirlpools was besieged by many countries and forces and it led to its destruction. The reason was that the land of whirlpools' sealing techniques are too terrifying, but now, the piece of information sent by Onaki is tricky. According to the information, there was a shadow of Konoha behind the demise of land of whirlpools. Both Danzo and Hiruzen were involved, but they did not do it on the surface, but chose to be the pusher behind the scenes. And they're the one who made the other besieged the land of whirlpools. As expected of Konoha's people, how dark is their heart to be able to do such a thing. In addition to this information, there is another information about Kushina being kidnapped as a child. In fact, Asahi has always felt very puzzled whether the Kumogakyo's people have a problem with their brains or something. Even if they send someone to kidnap Kushina, isn't this person's strength too rubbish? After all, Kushina was already the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki at that time. However, there was no Anbu monitoring her, and the person who went to save her was Minato. Even so, Minato was able to bring Kushina back, so what was the level of the enemy's strength? Are Kumogakyo's people all idiots? They actually sent a group of trashy shinobi to kidnap the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. So no matter how he thinks about it, Asahi felt that there are some tricks in it. Just like Naruto can steal the scroll of seal, after all, without Hiruzen's acquiescence, how can the village's trump card be stolen by a kid who is not even a genin? Isn't this a nonsense? So Asahi asked Onaki to check these things, and they really found something, which is really a pleasant surprise. Asahi then checked the situation of Kushina and Minato in this period. They are still not together yet, but there must be a good impression between them. What an unexpected blessing. Konga-senpai, asked Tsunade, come over. I need her help for the next thing. Just relying on the two things in his hand, not to mention the fact that Kushina's target of affection is still in Konoha, there's no way she would believe him, so how can she hold a grudge against Konoha? So now, Asahi needs Tsunade's help. He'll ask Tsunade to tell Kushina about what happened to her, and Kushina will no longer trust Konoha in an instant. At that time, it would be a lot easier to poach her. As for the protagonist Naruto, Asahi felt that even if he poached Kushina, Minato will still be able to find other women as his wife, and even if he couldn't find other people, Ashura's chakra will still be able to reincarnate into the other people. Maybe, it will be reincarnated among the members of Senju clan, which is now in Iwagakyo's side, so this will be even more convenient. As long as they are Sage of the Six Paths descendants, they may become the reincarnation of the two, Uchiha clan for Indra and Senju and Uzumaki clan for Ashura. Anyway, Asahi is not an idiot. If he has the opportunity, how can he not poach Kushina, but it still relies on Orochimaru's side now. If he really could dig Orochimaru here, coupled with those things on Danza's side that Orochimaru controls, the possibility of poaching Kushina will be even greater. So Asahi is full of confidence now, and he's waiting for Orochimaru to come out to chat tonight. On Iwagakyo's side, they are busy building their own camp, but Iwagakyo's shinobi are very versatile, and these people are the Iwagakyo's shinobi who are proficient in earth release and have been trained, so it's easy for them to set up the camp. If it weren't for the fact that the built house had an earthy smell without being renovated, Asahi and the others wouldn't even need to live in the tent anymore. Soon, night fell, and Asahi knew that it was time to meet Orochimaru. He still took Yanya with him. Right now, the old man Konga was about to become his attendant. After arriving at the agreed place, Asahi found that he underestimated the attraction of eternal life to the current Orochimaru. Orochimaru actually came over immediately, much faster than them. After seeing this scene, Asahi has already determined that Orochimaru will definitely join their side. Even if he can't convince Orochimaru now, when the next Hokage is selected, Orochimaru will come to them with 100% probability. Orochimaru Dono, you're quite early. Asahi said with a smile as he looked at Orochimaru. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Pugui. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 6 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 42, Chapter 42. You can't be the Hokage. It's because the news you gave me is too unsettling, but I am very curious, how did you know about me? I am indeed pursuing eternal life, but I have never disclosed it to others. Orochimaru was quite puzzled. After seeing the note Asahi gave him, he could no longer control his desire for longevity, and what surprised him was that this secret was always buried in him. In my heart, but Asahi knows. You don't need to worry about this, Orochimaru Dono. I naturally have my own method, but since Orochimaru Dono came out here, it means Orochimaru Dono is very interested, right? Yes, I am indeed very interested, so what do you guys want? Orochimaru is quite obsessed with eternal life, but he is curious about what Iwagakyo intends to do. It's very simple, our Iwagakyo has only one purpose, that is, to invite you, Orochimaru Dono, to join our Iwagakyo. Asahi stated his purpose, but Orochimaru was lost in thought, even felt a little bit unbelievable. He had seen others poaching people, but the kid-level powerhouses who directly poach other people's villages may be too much. Do you think you can recruit me with the eternal life I haven't even seen yet? You should know my position in Konoha, and I have the confidence to find a way to get eternal life. So why should I give up Konoha and join Iwagakyo? Orochimaru immediately spoke up. He had absolute confidence in himself, and he believed he can find the key to eternal life by himself. Since Iwagakyo has found it, then why would Onaki still grow old? That means, Asahi might be lying. No, you don't seem to have a clear view of the situation, Orochimaru Dono. Let alone eternal life, do you think you can be the Hokage? Asahi didn't panic at all, as Orochimaru's reaction was already within his expectation. Why not? In Konoha, the only ones who can become the Hokage are me, Jiraiya, Namikaze Minato, and Danza, but Jiraiya doesn't care about Hokage's position. Namikaze Minato has too little qualifications, and Danza can't beat me, so the Hokage's position could only be mine. Orochimaru felt that the Hokage's position must be his own. After all, he has been famous for a long time. Well said. Although I don't want to destroy your dream, but I still tell you, the most unlikely person to become the Hokage is you. Even if Danza becomes a Hokage, you can't become the Hokage. What do you mean? Orochimaru's expression changed after hearing Asahi's words. Don't worry, I'll make it clear to you slowly. Let's not talk about the many dirty things you did behind Konoha. Do you think Danza, who has been targeting Hokage's position for a long time, will let you go? You and Danza have some deals, and you don't have an authority like Danza. He can tell Sundame what you are doing at any time, and with this, let alone Hokage, you will even go to prison. As for the possibility of Danza stabbing you from behind your back, I don't need to say more, as you should be aware of it yourself. Even if this one reason is removed, neither Danza nor Sundame will allow you to become the Hokage, because they won't be able to control you. For the Hokage's position, Danza can even kill Konoha's White Fang. Not to mention you. He may not be able to compete for the Hokage's position with the ones you mentioned, but he can kill the others to take the position himself. If there's no one suitable to be the Hokage, then there is only him left. Therefore, even if he can't be in the top position himself now, the person at the top must be someone who is easy to control and can be overthrown at any time. With this condition, only Namikaze Minato is suitable. So, regardless of whether Danza can be the Hokage or not, you definitely have no such possibility. Danza already has your evidence of crime. So even if you want to kill Danza now, Danza can still take care of you before you could do anything. So, do you still think you can be the Hokage now? Asahi's remarks caused Orochimaru to fall into contemplation. The Hokage's position he believed has already in his pocket suddenly began to become a little illusory. He wanted to refute Asahi's words, but he couldn't find any reason to refute. As a Hokage, he must reduce his own negative information to zero, not to mention that when it is cleaned up, it can't be too obvious. However, Orochimaru is different. In order to pursue eternal life, he has done a lot of human experiments with Shudame Hokage's cells. And this kind of evidence is still in Danza's hands. Right now, Danza is like someone holding his only life-saving straw. He can strangle him to death at any time to become the Hokage. With his understanding of Danza, Danza will do it with 100% probability. So after thinking about it, Orochimaru discovered that the possibility of becoming Hokage is not close to zero, but it's already at absolute zero, and there is no possibility of becoming Hokage. There is no possibility of becoming the Hokage, and there are only two paths left in front of you: become a prisoner or bereaved dog. Although Sundame is not a good person, he should not directly kill as you are still his disciple. So you don't have to worry about dying, but if you become a prisoner, your eternal life dream will be shattered, so your only way is to become a traitor, a bereaved dog. I believe you can find a way to live forever. You indeed have incomparable talent, otherwise, I would not come to recruit you, but your efforts alone are not as good as the support of a whole village, and we also have mastered a lot of secrets about this world. Even Konoha didn't know about such secret, so I can reveal a little bit to you. In this world, there are still some people who has eternal life. Now, it's up to you to choose. Asahi said and threw a scroll to Orochimaru, which recorded some things about Otsutsuki Kaguya and Six Paths brothers. It even recorded that Kaguya was sealed for thousands of years and stayed in the moon. In fact, Asahi doing this is considered trapping wolf bare-handed. This kind of news will also be exposed by Madara in the future. At that time, it will not be too much of a secret, so he just took it out in advance. T/N, trapping wolf bare-handed means gaining rich benefit or making big profit by paying little or no price. So, if Orochimaru is really recruited, it will be a real trapping wolf bare-handed. These things. Orochimaru's face changed as he read the content of the scroll, and his face was almost like a Sichuan opera's actor. Asahi stayed by the side as he wasn't in a hurry, and just looked at Orochimaru calmly. As for Konga, well, he is very confused. He also heard the analyzation Asahi said, but he was still a little confused. However, he still sorted out some things that he understood, that Orochimaru will definitely be a traitor and run away in the end. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 8 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 43. Chapter 43 basically won over. Ha. I admit that you do have a good eloquence, and you succeeded in making me tempted. I can join you, but I need to see the substantive things about eternal life, not just these few words. After closing the scroll, Orochimaru made the final decision. There's no way he would continue to stay in Konoha, and become a bereaved dog. Moreover, after joining Iwagakure, he not only would get strength support but also various data resources, so he is very good at calculating his advantage. Now that he has started to experiment with the people in the village, he has already broken through his bottom line, and for the sake of eternal life, he can do everything. There was still the dream of becoming the Hokage before, but this dream has now been shattered by Asahi directly, so he only had the last one thing to pursue. In this case, Orochimaru will also make a choice, and joining Iwagakure is the best choice. A wise choice. As for the eternal life's things, I actually came to you for eternal life. I almost have the general direction. Although it is not specific, it is better than your general direction. I also want to live long, so I need your help. Of course, saying this will inevitably give you the feeling that I am playing with you. After the war with Tsunagakure is over, I'll take you to see a good thing. At that time, you can judge the authenticity of what I said. Before that, this scroll will be given to you. In addition, in this period of time, I need to do something and need you to help me. After saying that, Asahi threw out another scroll. In this scroll, there was some information about cloning, cells, etc. Although Asahi didn't know the specific things, he had seen some general things, so he told Orochimaru about these, and Orochimaru will push his research in this direction. Asahi has no doubts about this at all. After all, Orochimaru is a true scientific pioneer in the shinobi world in the later stage. I hope you don't let me down. Holding the scroll, Orochimaru quickly left. Are you not worried of this guy? According to what you said, this guy is not a kind person, and about eternal life, is that kind of thing really achievable? At this moment, Yanyu was still a little confused. Who doesn't want something like eternal life? If life is comfortable and beautiful, no one would want to die so quickly, so he is also very interested in eternal life. I don't know, I don't have the final say on this kind of thing. I'm looking for Orochimaru for this, just to increase the probability. Without Orochimaru, we basically can't even research a hair through our own research. If there is Orochimaru, the research would basically be better, but I am not very clear about the specifics. Asahi shook his head. Orochimaru in the original work achieved a different kind of eternal life, but whether it is true eternal life, Asahi doesn't know. However, he didn't panic, because he can also draw other powers from his system, and maybe he will draw an ability that will give him eternal life. This kind of ability is indeed very rare to the Naruto world, but in many worlds, it is really not very valuable, it might even be worthless. It can even be seen all over the place, such as at the fantasy world and the Xianxia world. If he draws something from those worlds, Asahi won't have to worry about his lifespan. Of course, what he needs is not the eternal life of a person, so he needs Orochimaru's help to find another way, just in case. Now, Orochimaru basically won't run. After that, Asahi will take him to the moon. Asahi didn't dare to take other people there, but Orochimaru is different. This kind of people will never betray him as long as he has their interests, so Asahi knew Orochimaru won't betray him. Both sides had returned to their camps at this moment. After returning, Orochimaru began to study the scroll that Asahi gave him. In this scroll, he saw a lot of rough and general things, but with his brain working on it, he felt that there is indeed a certain degree of feasibility from these things. From this, he saw the hope of eternal life. If it can really be achieved, it may be possible to achieve eternal life. The current Orochimaru has 90% faith in Asahi. Even if Asahi can't come up with other things in the future, he would still cooperate with Asahi, because the things in Asahi's brain are what he needed. Then, one night passed quietly. Early the next morning, Iwagakure's army started to move. The purpose is very simple. To fight Tsunagakure. Asahi also hopes to get a wave of percentages from Tsunegakyo. Tsunegakyo's introduction is much higher than Kirigakyo, so if he takes down Tsunegakyo, Asahi has no doubt that he can get a higher percentage than from Kirigakyo. After all, the percentage is not determined by strength. When Iwagakyo's army moved, Konoha naturally followed, so the army of the two great shinobi villages moved towards Tsunegakyo's camp directly. Rosa's face instantly turned green after receiving this news, and now, he can only retreat temporarily. In short, he can't go to war with Iwagakyo and Konoha, so the whole Tsunegakyo's army retreats without a fight. They actually ran away. Tsunegakyo's people are really timid, they can even do things like retreating without a fight. Konga said in shock, as he didn't expect Tsunegakyo's army would just retreat. They are smart, Konga-senpai. If it were you and the army from two villages besieged you, would you still choose to fight them? Moreover, there is still me inside those two army. Although Asahi didn't want to boast, he was indeed an invincible representative. Rosa's choice of running away was a very good choice. It is impossible for him to fight against Asahi, so he had no other choice except to retreat. Haha, yeah, if the opponent is you, kid, I won't even bother to run, I will just surrender immediately. Against you, running away is not feasible at all. It is ridiculous to think about it. Konga showed a smile. Asahi is very terrifying, but running is not advisable against Asahi, because of Asahi's speed. Now that Asahi has chased after them, he would naturally not let go of these experience packs. Yeah, running away is useless to me, so I plan to end this war before Tsunade arrives. After Asahi said that, he jumped into the sky directly, stepped on the small sun, and disappeared from everyone's view. What an enviable strength. Minato, can you take us to chase after him? After Orochimaru saw this, he looked at Minato next to him and asked. After all, Minato's Flying Thunder God technique is very useful. After hearing Orochimaru's words, Minato was stunned for a moment, and then nodded. It was an easy matter to take a few people with his Flying Thunder God technique, so he immediately disappeared with a few experts. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 2 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 44, Bunpyuku and Shukaku. Keisuke-sama, someone is chasing after us. Their speed is very fast, and we will be chased soon. Tsunegakyo's sensor shinobi can perceive Asahi's presence. After all, Asahi also has chakra in his body, so he will inevitably be discovered when he gets closer. Did they catch up so soon? Keisuke, what shall we do now? Kyo and the others looked at Rosa. It's not that they didn't have their own ideas, but now that Rosa is still there, it's not good for them to skip over Rosa and directly implement their own decisions. Moreover, any wrong decisions made can be blamed on Rosa, and they are not guilty. That's really fast. Divide the army into 10 groups and retreat in a scattered manner immediately. In addition, keep Bunpyuku here, and make him try to resist as long as he can. Rosa was also ruthless. He didn't even care about the Baiju of his own village. However, now that he had already made such a decision to bring Bunpyuku out of the prison, he'll take care of follow-up matters later. As for now, he just wanted to solve the problem in front of him first. Keisuke, you have to think about it again. Once we lost the Baiju, our village will lose the weapon to deter the other villages. Kyo, Ibizo and the others couldn't help but feel a little horrified. Rosa's decision was indeed very special. At least, they didn't dare to do something like this. After all, once the Baiju was lost, it would be a tragedy. Don't worry, at most Bunpyuku will die, but the Baiju can still recover, and Shukaku has always only recovered in our Tsunegakyo's territory. If we win the bet this time, we will get the benefit that is worth much more than a Baiju. And with Bunpyuku's character, even if he died, he will not let the Baiju fall into the hands of the others. Rosa shook her head. At most they will just let Shukaku die once, but Shukaku has always there with Tsunegakyo. Even when Hashirama distributed the Baiju, Tsunegakyo already had a Baiju, so it was not a big problem. Moreover, the Baiju is also sealed into people. The most important thing is that now, with Bunpyuku already so old now, the power of the Baiju can't be used, so they can just temporarily abandon Shukaku and capture it again later. Now, the most important thing to do is to drag for time until the people from the other two villages came over. After this decision was made, it was quickly implemented. Tsunegakyo's people were divided into 10 groups and fled in different directions. After all, this is the land of wind. They can go wherever they go, but they still left Bunpyuku here alone. Bunpyuku, look at what your village has done. They're just leaving you here to die. And you still want to protect such a village. Just let me out, and I can save your life. At this moment, although Bunpyuku, who was left behind, almost can't do anything, because the trashy seal from Tsunegakyo can be said to be abnormal, Shukaku has often been able to control Bunpyuku's body. After Bunpyuku became Jinchuriki, he has been living a life of imprisonment. Gaara's life is much better. Although he was targeted by his father and the others, he still met some companions in the later period, and he did not live a prison life. But Bunpyuku is different. He has always been imprisoned. If the village need him, they will let him to go out to fight, and then locked him back when they don't need him. However, Bunpyuku is also very compliant. No matter how others treat him, he always treats the village kindly. Even Shukaku has lost his temper because of him. You will definitely take revenge against the village after you come out, so just forget it. I should do his best one last time, and I should not be able to hold it after this time. Although you will not completely die, but I must still apologize first. Bunpyuku is already very old, but he will not release Shukaku. After all, once Shukaku is released, it is estimated that the first thing he would do is not to fight the enemy, but the people of Bunpyuku's village. As for whether the power of Shukaku can be resisted after the fight, it is not something that Bunpyuku really care. After the fight, even if Shukaku takes control of his body, it is impossible to do anything to his village. Pedantic old man. Shukaku could only curse angrily. He really had no choice. Although he recognized Bunpyuku, it did not mean that he recognized Bunpyuku's submissiveness to the village. In short, he was very irritable at the moment. It can be said that Baiju are indeed very unlucky. They are always used by others. But if they wanted to something to blame, they can only blame themselves for their powerful strength. They can be used to create Jinchuriki, so there's no way humans won't use them. Soon, Asahi had already caught up to him, and at this moment, Bunpyuku has already clapping his palms, and a yellow sand rose up into the sky, directly blocking Asahi's path. Bunpyuku. Ichibi's Jinchuriki. Rosa is really bold enough to leave their Jinchuriki behind. Asahi is a little speechless. He doesn't know what to say about Rosa's decision. Is he stupid? Or should he call him courageous? But Asahi thinks that it should be the former. Asahi also thinks that he can poach Shukaku. Although Shukaku has an almost insoluble hatred for humans, Asahi still has a trump card. Sage of Six Paths. He knows those secrets, and it naturally can be useful to poach Shukaku. Asahi estimated that Rosa left Bunpyuku as cannon fodder, and Asahi was not interested in Bunpyuku either. However, if he could completely defeat Bunpyuku and then bring him back and asked someone to remove the seal, won't there be another Baiju at that time? As for the possibility for Shukaku escaping by himself, it is almost impossible. Just think about it. If Shukaku wants to come out, Bunpyuku will not allow it, and he will only die with Bunpyuku. Therefore, unless there is external help, Shukaku will not be able to escape. Your opponent is me. After stopping Asahi, Bunpyuku also realized the horror of the other party, so he knew that he might not survive this time, but he would stop Asahi even if he needed to pay it with his life. Bunpyuku. I am not interested in you, let Shukaku in your body come out and speak. Asahi doesn't care about Bunpyuku at all, and he only needs Shukaku. No way, I will not let you pass. As he spoke, a large amount of yellow sand surged, almost completely burying Asahi. Old man, you don't seem to understand what I'm saying. Go to sleep first. After Asahi finished speaking, he chopped Bunpyuku's neck with his hand. Bunpyuku didn't see how Asahi come near him before he fainted directly. Shukaku, come out and talk. I believe you don't want to stay in this guy's body all the time. After Asahi finished speaking, Bunpyuku's body quickly began to be enveloped by yellow sand, and then turned into a behemoth. Although he could come out temporarily, Shukaku could not completely break through the seal. Even Tsunegakyo's seal is trashy, Shukaku still couldn't break through directly, so once Bunpyuku's consciousness returns, Shukaku will be sealed back again. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 3 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 45, Chapter 45 Releasing Shukaku. Little brat, what are you looking for me for? Shukaku looked at Asahi with some puzzlement. When Bunpyuku passed out just now, he didn't come out directly. He also heard Rosa and the others tell Bunpyuku about Asahi's strength. One person overturned 2 Shinobi villages alone, and both Hakai-B and Sun-B were defeated by him easily. Although Shukaku is also strong, his strength lies in special abilities, such as sealing ability, rather than pure combat. So, facing Asahi, in fact, Shukaku's idea is actually not coming out, and let Asahi go to the trouble Tsunegakyo. With that, he doesn't need to be Tsunegakyo's shield, but now, it seems that Asahi doesn't plan to let him go. He estimated that he will be put into a new Jinchuriki. It is estimated that Rosa has never thought of such a thing. In fact, according to Bunpyuku's character, he will not let Shukaku fall into the hands of the other villages, so he will definitely take Shukaku with him to die together and will not hand it over to anyone. This is where Rosa's confidence lies, otherwise he won't just leave their villages Baiju here. But now that Bunpyuku is knocked out by Asahi, they are like giving away a Baiju for nothing. If Rosa knows about this, he will definitely cry. Losing Baiju does not matter, but giving it away is a big problem. I don't want to do anything, I just want to ask you, do you want freedom? Asahi asked with a smile, he knew that freedom is very important to Baiju. Freedom? Kid, are you trying to fool me? With the mind of you Shinobi, you probably want to get me so that you can create a Jinchuriki, right? What stupid freedom do you mean? Shukaku said disdainfully. He had already seen the human nature clearly, so he was too lazy to say anything. No. The freedom I am talking about is completely giving you back your freedom, not as Jinchuriki, but real freedom. I know some things about you Baiju. In my memory, there is something about you Baiju, in that picture. Asahi talked about the scenes in the anime. Sage of 6 Paths told Shukaku and the others to wait for someone who could change them, and this person should be Naruto, but now, Asahi can't help but use this for his own benefit. When Sage of 6 Paths split them out, only the 9 Baiju and Sage of 6 Paths knew about this. Although the Baiju disagreed with each other, they were very clear about each other's character and knew it was impossible for them to spread the information. So now that Asahi said something like this, Shukaku was completely dumbfounded, and he subconsciously thinks that person they are waiting for is Asahi, otherwise, how could Asahi know what Sage of 6 Paths said? If it is from some historical records he has obtained, how can there be such a clear picture description? So, there is only one possibility, that is, Asahi does have this memory in his head. If this is the case, then Shukaku can indeed trust Asahi. Boy, is this really the memory in your mind? Although he was almost 100% sure, Shukaku felt that it would be better to ask Asahi clearly. That's right, there is indeed such memory in my mind. Asahi didn't lie as he indeed have the memory, but he saw it from the anime, and he feels that there is no need to say it. Okay, then, I'll believe you this one time, but, what is your purpose? Although Shukaku basically believed him, he didn't think Asahi would give him freedom for free. Actually, it's very simple for you. I need you to join our Iwagakyo, don't cause any harm to Iwagakyo, and become the guardian of our Iwagakyo. We will treat you as a companion instead of sealing you into other people's bodies to make Jinchuriki. Asahi stated his purpose. He doesn't like the normal summoned beasts, and he can hardly use them, but he can sign a contract with Shukaku, just like Madara takes Kyuubi as his summoned beast, so that Shukaku will be his summoned beast. After Asahi finished speaking, Shukaku thought about it for a while. The proposal seemed okay, and it was not a big deal to him. He also doesn't need to be sealed into Jinchuriki's body, which is very good, and he will also be protected by Iwagakure. Otherwise, as a Baiju, there are probably a lot of people targeting him wherever he goes. They will find a way to capture him and make a new Jinchuriki. Well, boy, as long as you do what you say, I will keep my promise. Shukaku nodded, indicating that he agreed. That's good. Now, we should go back for the time being. I will take you to Iwagakure, as I basically don't know how to remove your seal. Asahi was also helpless. He wanted to learn about these things, but it was very difficult to learn, and he was not a peerless genius, so he was also in despair. He is only invincible by relying on his cheat instead of relying on his talent. After hearing Asahi's words, Shukaku looked at Asahi speechlessly, and then retreated. At this moment, Asahi stopped chasing Tsunegakure's shinobi, and let them run away. Anyway, how can these experience packs run? No matter how far they run, they still can't run from their own village. Looking at the unconscious Bunpyuku, Asahi originally planned to take this guy back first, but suddenly, a golden light flashed in front of him, and several people appeared in front of him. Space-time ninjutsu is indeed a very powerful thing. It just so happens that I need your help. That person over there should be from the Uzumaki clan, right? Can you please help me remove the seal on this old man? After seeing the people coming, Asahi set his eyes on Kushina. The Uzumaki clan is known for their sealing technique, but because their strength was too weak, their combat power was not that great even with their powerful sealing technique. The restriction was too great, so it's no wonder their village is destroyed after being besieged by the other villages. That is Tsunegakure's Ichibi's Jinchuriki. What do you want to do by unlocking his seal? Orochimaru naturally recognized Bunpyuku at a glance, and then looked at Asahi with a puzzled look. Although the people here are not afraid of Shukaku, why would Asahi try to release him here? Shouldn't he be taken back for transfer and create a new Jinchuriki? Of course I naturally have my own ideas when I do this. Will you help? If you don't help me, I'll need to go back to find the people in my village to help me. Asahi asked again, and Orochimaru then gave Kushina a look of affirmation. Then, Kushina came to Bunpyuku. Dead is a usual thing during the war, but she was a little curious why did Asahi release Shukaku now? Of course, she didn't feel good as she will basically kill Bunpyuku. After all, she was Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. Once the Baiju was removed, the Jinchuriki would die. But since her leader has said to do it, she naturally wouldn't refuse. In front of the Uzumaki clan, Tsunegakure's sealing technique was just garbage among the garbage, so the seal was removed in an instant. Boy, you really didn't lie to me. I finally came out. Ha ha ha. After Shukaku came out, he began to laugh wildly. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am poor guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 6 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 46, Chapter 46 Shukaku and Kyuubi scolding each other. I know you are very excited, but don't forget what you promised me. Asahi couldn't help but plug his ears. Shukaku's voice was not really good to hear, and he yelled so loudly, so it made his ears a little uncomfortable. Of course I won't break the contract with what I promised. On the contrary, it is you humans. Aren't there a lot of examples of you going back on your word? But you kid has temporarily obtained my trust, but if you break the contract one day, don't blame me for not being polite. After Shukaku said a few words, the others finally came back to their senses. Shukaku has reached an agreement with Asahi or something, so now these two are actually cooperating, human and Baiju are actually cooperating. Apart from seeing it on Jinchuriki, let alone cooperating with the others, the Baiju will tear people apart as soon as it comes out. Ha! I sensed the chakra of that stinky fox, ha 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 ha, stinky fox, don't you see? This uncle has already come out, but you are still locked inside, you will always be a lot worse than this uncle. When Shukaku sensed Kyuubi inside Kushina's body, he immediately started to taunt him. Shukaku and Kyuubi did not have a good relationship, and they often fought with each other. Moreover, Shukaku was also a strange Baiju. His strength was not very good, but he liked to fight with the one known as the strongest Baiju. However, what Shukaku is proficient in is not fighting, but sealing. Of course, he just used his own characteristics to seal. In terms of removing seal, he is still a novice, otherwise, he would not have been sealed by Tsunegakyo's garbage seal for so long. Damn Tanuki, little girl, let me go out, I must teach that bastard a good lesson. At this moment, Kyuubi, who is inside Kushina, can see the situation outside, so he is very angry, but Kushina is not Naruto. Kushina is a member of Uzumaki Clan and is proficient in sealing technique, so he has no chance to take advantage of loophole, unlike Naruto who doesn't understand sealing at all. Ah, both of you are Baiju, is it possible that you have grudges against each other? Kushina looked at the two Baiju, who were scolding across her body, with a black line on her face. At this moment, she felt a little speechless. Asahi Dono is really amazing, you have even subdued Shukaku. Orochimaru's pupils shrank when he saw this scene. How did Asahi conquer the Shukaku in such a short time? The relationship between these Baiju and humans are almost like mortal enemy. But Asahi can actually subdue Shukaku in such a short time. When he thought of this, Orochimaru can't help but recalled the scene when he was persuaded by Asahi. What subdued? This uncle just made a deal with this kid, where's the summoned beast scroll? Take it out and I'll sign it. After hearing Orochimaru's words, Shukaku was unhappy, but he didn't get angry directly, but looked at Asahi again. How can I have a blank summoned beast scroll with me? Do you think I'm so idle? Just wait until I go back. By the way, Shukaku, are you interested in taking revenge on Tsunegakyo who has sealed you for so long? Asahi suddenly smiled, but this smile was full of murderous intent. Ha 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 ha, I really like your character, let's go, kid. After hearing Asahi's words, Shukaku was stunned for a moment, and without saying anything further, he directly controls Sand to take Asahi with him and then set off. After being locked up by Tsunegakyo for so long, of course he wanted to take revenge. In respect for Bunpyuku, he will not wipe out Tsunegakyo, but revenge is indispensable. After all, Tsunegakyo has enslaved him for so many years. Why do I suddenly feel that Tsunegakyo is very pitiful? Looking at Bunpyuku on the ground, and Shukaku and Asahi who had left, Minato suddenly felt sorry for Tsunegakyo. As far as the current situation is concerned, Tsunegakyo is indeed very pitiful. Who would have thought that Shukaku would be persuaded in such a short period of time? Even I still couldn't believe it. Let's just go back, we have nothing to do today. Orochimaru and the others left after they finished speaking. It's useless for them to stay here. Right now, their minds are still full of Shukaku and Asahi, especially Kushina. As a Jinchuriki, she has always pressed Kyuubi as she's afraid he will go berserk if she stopped pressing him, but after seeing Asahi and Shukaku getting along, Kushina suddenly felt that maybe she should change. However, she was very interested in how Asahi reached an agreement with Shukaku, but she didn't ask too much. After returning, Kushina began to immerse herself in her inner space and chatted with Kyuubi. Since Asahi can, why can't she? She also heard about other Jinchuriki, and many of them get along well with their Baiju, so she meets Kyuubi. But Kyuubi has always been the kind that is not easy to tame, even Shukaku is the same. If Asahi hadn't read the original work and knew some secrets, he would have no way to get through Shukaku's defense, so Kushina basically has a long way to go. At the same time, Asahi and Shukaku have caught up with one of Tsunegakyo's teams. Shukaku. How could it be possible? Isn't Shukaku in Bunpyuku's body? The Tsunegakyo's shinobi, who was running for his life, was shocked when they saw this scene. Shukaku is the Baiju of their village, but how could he appear here now? Bastards from Tsunegakyo, this uncle is back, and the debt for being sealed for so many years, this uncle will collect it now. Wind release, drilling air bullet. Huge air bullets bombarded Tsunegakyo's team one after another. Tsunegakyo is good at wind release, but facing Shukaku's drilling air bullet, they have no strength to resist. The main reason is that the attack came too suddenly, and the Tsunegakyo's shinobi are also not good at defense, so they are miserable now as they are blown up by Shukaku. Let me join too. Cruel son. Asahi aimed at the shinobi who took the lead. Although he didn't know him well, Tsunegakyo's important roles are generally more numerous than Kirigakyo. It didn't matter if he couldn't remember, as he can just cast the net wider. The percentage increase is linked to strength and also is linked to the plot. No matter how small a mosquito's leg is, it is still meat. And Tsunegakyo's people are definitely worth more than Kirigakyo's. As soon as the golden sun exploded, some of the genin who took the lead were blown to pieces by Asahi. "Kid, what kind of power do you have?" Shukaku asked with some lingering fears. He felt that the sun Asahi threw out was too powerful, and the terrifying power emanating from Asahi at this moment made his heart palpitated. Now, he is even more sure that Asahi is the child of the prophecy, otherwise, what is the matter with this power? Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Pugui. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 47, Chapter 47 Rosa, who is very regretful. It's almost time, we should go now. Asahi looked at the sky, and after feeling the strength in his body, he knew that it has already been 10 o'clock, and his strength will be difficult to control afterwards. Of course, it is mainly because he wants to save the experience pack, and don't take them all in one go. After he killed Bunpyuku, the percentage rose to 22%. In fact, even if he burst out with all his strength now, he could still last until about 11 o'clock. After that, the continuous use of power will also lead to his power to run berserk. This is the disadvantage of not being able to fully control his power. Originally, he wanted to continue chasing Tsunegakyo's shinobi, but after listening to Asahi's words, Shukaku was also very curious about Asahi's power, so he simply let Tsunegakyo's shinobi go for the time being. Anyway, his revenge was enough for now. However, when Asahi's strength started to burst out at noon, the terrifying power made Shukaku's jaw almost drop from being shocked. It was the first time he had ever seen such a terrifying human being, as Asahi's power was even more tyrannical than the Sage of Six Paths power he had seen. As expected of the child of the prophecy, this kid must be the power, the old man said. If such power is completely controlled, even the old man won't be his opponent. It is really a terrifying power. Shukaku muttered to himself as he watched this scene. It was not until afternoon that Asahi's strength started weakening that they left here and went back to Iwagakyo's camp. Asahi still had to sign a contract with Shukaku. But this contract is making things a bit awkward. It is because his chakra is not very much. Summoning Shukaku is fine, but it is impossible for him to let the summoned Shukaku to exist for too long. This is the most awkward point, and this is also in the case there's same harder. Now that he has same harder, although it can't be used to fight, but it can help him supplement chakra, which is not bad. However, he still chose to contract Shukaku, just in case that if one day, Shukaku is not near Asahi and he was surrounded by people, Asahi could use reverse summoning technique to get him out, so that he will not be caught by the others and be sealed. As for his use of Shukaku's power, it is almost non-existent. Unless he wants to seal someone, it is estimated that only at that time that Shukaku will be used. As for using him to fight, there's no need to think about it. After all, his combat effectiveness is much stronger than Shukaku. After Shukaku and Asahi left, the surviving Tsunegakyo's shinobi of this small team finally ran to the gathering place desperately, and reported the situation to Rosa. When Rosa and the others heard the news, their faces immediately changed. What are you talking about? Shukaku attacked you. No, what about Bunpyuku? Where did Bunpyuku go? Rosa is going crazy. He knows that Bunpyuku would never release Shukaku even if he died, but now that Shukaku has come out, it means that Shukaku is dead. Right now, he feels that his brain is messed up. It was originally intended that they would only lose the Baiju temporarily, but now, the Baiju has been taken away by others. According to these shinobi who fled back, Asahi also stood on Shukaku and attacked them. Doesn't that mean Asahi and Shukaku are working together? In short, this statement made Rosa fell into disbelief. In such a short period of time, if Bunpyuku was defeated, unlocking the seal would indeed allow Shukaku to come out, but how did Asahi get Shukaku to work together with him? In that short period of time, shouldn't Shukaku be furious when he saw people? How can he work together Asahi? This is obviously impossible. Did these two guys know each other before? But as soon as this idea came out, Rosa threw it away. What a joke. Bunpyuku has always been imprisoned in Tsunagakyo, so where did Asahi go to meet with Shukaku? In short, Rosa can't even think of how Asahi and Shukaku got together now. Damn, that monster's strength is obviously scary enough. What method did he use to convince Shukaku? He doesn't have Sharingan, and even if he does have Sharingan, he can only control Shukaku for a short time. Rosa is really going crazy, and the faces of the other higher-ups are also not very good. They are delaying the time until the powerhouses from the two other Shinobi villages arrived here. At that time, they can carry out a counter-attack, and take advantage of the night to kill Asahi. But even if they managed to delay time, there is Shukaku beside Asahi now. Shukaku can hold at least 2 Kage-level powerhouses, plus other Iwagakyo and Konoha's experts. They suddenly felt that the plan for the attack at night seems a bit unrealistic, so they felt that they shouldn't continue with this plan. Of course, although they are also helpless and uncomfortable, they are not the same as Rosa. Rosa has obviously the one who bet on this gamble. He depends on the final blow, so if the final blow is a success, then everything will be fine. Rosa can still sit firmly in Kasuke's position, but if their plan failed, let alone continue to sit on Kasuke's position, Rosa can't even stabilize his position as a higher-up anymore. At that time, Rosa can only become a senior fighter at most. At this moment, Rosa is feeling very regretful, but regret is useless. Right now, he can only prepare for the last attack as soon as possible. On the other hand, Asahi has finished signing a contract with Shukaku and has went to meet Orochimaru. These information. Are you planning to do something to Uzumaki Kushina? You are really greedy. Looking at the information in his hand, Orochimaru licked his lips. The way he looked at Asahi obviously became a bit more convinced, and Orochimaru had decided to quit Konoha and join Iwagakyo at that time. But he still has to wait until the war is over to go back. A lot of his materials and things are there, and it would be better if he can take them all away. Now, the information Asahi gives him now are about the original land of whirlpools and Kushina. This information alone is enough to create an indelible ravine between Kushina and Konoha. Asahi originally planned to hand it over to Kushina by himself, but now, there are more suitable candidates. As a Konoha's person, Orochimaru is obviously more credible than Iwagakyo's people. Even if Orochimaru would become a traitor and join Iwagakyo in the future, Orochimaru is still a real Konoha's person right now, and he is a someone with high position, so he is more credible. The result would be much better than if Iwagakyo's people give this piece of information to Kushina in person. There's no such thing as too many talents. If Konoha doesn't cherish them, of course we have to dig it. I personally think that as long as the hoe is swung well, there is no wall that cannot be dug. That sentence is good, it is also in line with what you did. I have to admit that your hoe is indeed very good. If possible, I would like to see how many people you can dig out. Orochimaru couldn't help but laugh. Asahi was even more amused when he heard this. Wait until you see Tsunade, I guess at that time, your expression will definitely be very amusing. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Poor Guy. Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 48, Chapter 48 Kushina's Shock. With the information, Orochimaru went back, and then called Kushina over. Orochimaru-sama, is there anything you need from me? Kushina was a little puzzled. After all, it was surprising for Orochimaru to look for herself alone. I got something by chance. And I think you might be interested in it. Take a look. Orochimaru didn't feel the need to beat around the bush, nor did he need to circumscribe the corners, so he directly handed over the information scroll in his hand to Kushina. After seeing the contents inside, Kushina's face became very ugly. She knew about the land of Whirlpool. After all, she was one of the last remaining members of the Uzumaki clan, but the things recorded in the scroll really shocked her. The things recorded on it are clearly written, the real reason for the destruction of the Uzumaki clan. The destruction of the Uzumaki clan indeed because of their terrifying sealing technique, as it has attracted the prying of many shinobi villages, but Kushina never thought that the driving hand behind this matter turned out to be Konoha. This. Orochimaru-sama, where did you get these things? And, are they true? Right now, Kushina's mind is very confused. She is a little unsure of what is going on. Orochimaru is a Konoha's higher-up, so how could she not be shocked when he showed her such things that slander Konoha's higher-ups? I suggest that you finish reading it before speaking about it. As for whether it is true or not, I think you should know it yourself. Although Iwagakure won the war against Kumogakure, the Senju clan is gone. When Orochimaru said about this matter, Kushina's pupils couldn't help shrinking. The Senju clan was indeed gone, and most importantly, after the Senju clan disappeared, even Tsunade's current location is unknown. It seemed that she had gone back to the village once before, but then she disappeared without a trace. In fact, the matter of Tsunade's digging the graves of her grandfather and granduncle in the village has been suppressed by Sundame Hokage. At most, they only knew that Tsunade had gone back to the village once, and then she disappeared. As for the specific reasons and circumstances, nothing is clear. But Kushina knew Tsunade very well. When she first came to Konoha, she lived in the Senju clan, and Tsunade can be regarded as her own big sister. Konoha even dared to attack Senju clan, let alone the Uzumaki clan who is holding treasures. When the Uzumaki clan went extinct, the biggest was indeed Konoha, because Uzumaki clan's people sent the scrolls that contained their sealing technique knowledge to Konoha. Therefore, whether it is Minato, Sundame or Danza, they are all good at using sealing technique. It's all because of the Uzumaki clan. With doubts, Kushina continued to look at the information written, and what is recorded later is about her being kidnapped in the past. After she was kidnapped, she was rescued by Minato, but they had just graduated, and Minato had just studied under Jiraiya at that time. He didn't know about Flying Thunder God technique, and even Rasengan is missing. At that time, how strong can Minato be? But at that time, Minato directly rescued Kushina from Kumogakure's hands. Kumogakure's people are not fools, how could they send a few trashs to kidnap her, the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki? And Kushina also saw from this information that Kumogakure's people are not stupid. There are experts among the people they dispatched, but the experts were cleaned up by Konoha's people, and those who kidnapped her afterwards were very weak. But the reason why they were able to kidnap her was also because of Konoha's higher-ups. Just like Naruto can steal the scroll of seals, Konoha needs to find a bond for Naruto, and the same is true for Kushina. Kushina herself is an outsider, so it is necessary to find a sufficient bond that is enough to lock her. This bond was Minato at that time. Minato didn't know that he was a chess piece, but he was treated as a chess piece. So he did this by accident. Under the various manipulations of Konoha's higher-ups, Minato became Kushina's bond. All the doubts were clearly analyzed clearly in the scroll, so Kushina's affection towards Minato instantly went down to almost zero after reading it. Even if she knew that Minato could not do such a thing, she never expected that he was taken advantage of by Konoha's higher-ups, and he was treated as a puppet. He's just a premeditated hero that saved the beauty. In short, she suddenly couldn't feel any more goodwill towards Minato. How do you feel? Are you suddenly frightened by Konoha's darkness? Orochimaru said with a smile, just like a big villain. Orochimaru-sama, why on earth are you showing me these things? Kushina is not stupid either, and she looked at Orochimaru with doubtful eyes. Orochimaru showed herself this kind of thing for no reason, and she didn't think it was because of his kind-heartedness, but there is something hidden. After all, Orochimaru's behavior was too abnormal. You are very clever, but Konoha is scared of such cleverness. Now that you can see it, I won't hide anything. If there's no accident, after this war, I will leave Konoha. Even I don't dare to stay there for too long. Showing you these things can be considered as the last good thing I do. I hope that you can survive well in Konoha. That place is completely shrouded in darkness, and it is much more complicated than you think. Orochimaru didn't directly expose Iwagakure, but just found an excuse to skip over this topic. Kushina is not stupid, and she naturally knew that Orochimaru must have a reason for doing so, but she is now shocked by Orochimaru's statement about leaving Konoha. Orochimaru-sama. Do you want to defect? Kushina couldn't help but take a deep breath. One of the Sanin, Orochimaru, actually wanted to defect. She was shocked by this inexplicable defection, and Orochimaru also told her so blatantly. Yeah, Konoha can't tolerate me anymore. Danzo won't allow me to become the new Hokage, and the new Hokage is basically confirmed to be Minato, but I'm not sure how long he will live. Danzo will try everything to get rid of the people who threatened his chance of sitting on the Hokage's position, and Minato was among them. I didn't dare to stay in that kind of place. Orochimaru shook his head and saw off the guest. He has to say that he is also a clever man to deliberately disclose this information. With this, Kushina's suspicion of Konoha will become deeper and deeper, and he is also not worried that Kushina will betray him. He has come up with such important information, but even if it was announced, what can Konoha do? He is backed by Iwagakure now, and he can just ask for help if there's a need to. Moreover, he is also a real Kage-level powerhouse, and it won't be easy to deal with him. As for Kushina, she feels uncomfortable after she go back. There are some things that the more you think about it, the more uncertain you are. Just like a prejudice. If you have a prejudice against a person, then this concept will become more and more ingrained over time. Kushina is also a human, so she will only become more and more suspicious of Konoha. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugui. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 4 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 49. Chapter 49. The three villages gather. As Rosa and others retreated again and again, Konoha's and Iwagakure's people were very speechless. They have never seen such a coward that would always run away like this. Moreover, they would always divide themselves when they run, and Asahi can only chase one side when he goes after them, but Asahi still gained a little bit from the hard work in the past few days. His percentage has reached 25%, so now, he can control a quarter of his power at night, as well as during the day, but there are still more than half of his power that cannot be controlled. At the same time, Rosa, who has dragged on for several days, has been somewhat haggard, but he finally got the good news, as Kirigakure and Kumogakure's powerhouses have arrived one after another. Kumogakure's and Killer Bee, as well as Reikige's assistant, and some of their elite genin, also Kirigakure brings a gathering of experts. The powerhouses of the three villages are gathered together, and there are nearly 10 Kage-level powerhouses. As for the elite genin, there are a lot of them. At this moment, the three villages have gathered their high-level combat power. You guys are finally here. If you still can't be here in 2 more days, I may have to surrender directly. After Rosa saw these people, he also seemed to see his last straw. The terrifying pressure on him was indeed a bit too large and excessive, almost overwhelming him, and because of the news of the alliance with the other Shinobi villages could not be known to the people below, he has been questioned by a large number of Shinobi of his village during this period of time. Don't worry, Kazekage. As long as that monster Asahi dies, we will send our army immediately, and Konoha and Iwagakure will be useless by then. A somewhat disdains Rosa's actions, but in order to appease Rosa, he still has to say something. That's right, that monster is the key to this war. As for the problem with Shukaku, it is not a big problem. They don't know our plan, so as long as we surprised them and kill Asahi as quickly as possible, Iwagakure won't be able to stop it, and when Konoha reacts, our plan is estimated to be already successful by then. Yagura also added. This time, they were all willing to go all out. If they still failed, they would be really ashamed to meet with their ancestors. By then, the 3 Shinobi villages would also become the laughing stock of the entire Shinobi world. That's it, but let's discuss the plan first. I have already grasped the location of Iwagakure's camp, but Asahi's position is definitely in the center, so it's not easy to rush in directly. Rosa took out a map, and the location marked on the map is the location of Iwagakure's camp. Asahi is the most important person to Iwagakure, and the spies they planted in Iwagakure can also pass on these non-confidential things. Therefore, Rosa and the others are more certain that Asahi has no combat power at night, otherwise, why would he be wrapped so tightly? Almost all the experts surrounded the place where Asahi lives, surrounding him without any gaps. But how would they know that this was also the smoke bomb that Asahi deliberately sent out, and he's just waiting for these guys to be tricked? The most central location, Kazekage, this requires your people to work hard. We will circle around to avoid being seen, therefore, all the elites can only fight against the core area, so the periphery depends on your people. I pointed to the camp, and Rosa's face turned dark, but he didn't know what to do. Although he knew that the other party deliberately uses his Sunigakyo's shinobi as cannon fodder, what else could he say? After all, their reasons are impeccable. If they bring more people, let alone their speed will be slowed down, they will easily expose themselves, so they will only bring some elites, not many people. He can only acknowledge this, and now, he has no other ways other than agreeing to their condition. Then our Sunigakyo's people will be responsible for the periphery. After that, the elites of the 3 villages will block the people in core area. We will kill Asahi as quickly as possible. If Shukaku, Roshi and Konga appear, no matter who is closer to the other party, they will hold the opponent, and we must be sure to kill Asahi with this one strike, otherwise, it is estimates that even Onaki will come out. At that time, we won't have any chance. Yakiora warned everyone. Everyone already understands the truth, but the truth is the truth, and it is necessary to emphasize it. Then we'll proceed according to our plan. Because they are chasing us very tightly, they are not very far away from us. One night is enough. Remember not to delay until dawn, otherwise, everyone can only run for themselves. After Rosa finished speaking, everyone also went to prepare. As for the shinobi below, Rosa was going to make a temporary notice. There were definitely spies from other villages in any village, so when this kind of battle was carried out, they can only be notified suddenly, not in advance. In this way, the sun was slowly setting to the west. Before the last gleam of light disappeared, Rosa immediately ordered the army to move out. Although the shinobi below were stunned, Rosa was still the Kazekage, so they could not disobey Rosa's order. They could only bite the bullet, and the whole Sunigakyo's army moved out and rushed towards Iwagakyo's camp. In fact, Iwagakyo's people also noticed such a big movement, but it was still a bit late. By the time they found the other party, they had already rushed in front of them. It's finally here, they're really making me wait. The sensor shinobi will be responsible for perceiving and determining how many experts have come over. Asahi, who got the news, didn't panic at all, on the contrary, he was very excited. These are all experience packs. Maybe, this wave will increase his mastery by dozens of percentage points. After that, the sensor shinobi who had been prepared for a long time immediately started sensing, and everyone was a little stunned at the information given afterwards. There was close to 10 Kage level powerhouses, and it was clear that several villages had joined forces. No wonder Rosa and the others kept retreating without fighting or surrendering. You really guessed it right. The other 2 villages have also joined in. They have already gotten into the trap you set. Konga and Roshi glanced at Asahi with a complicated look. It seemed that this was an accident, but they knew clearly that this was a trap deliberately set by Asahi, and these people really fall directly into this trap. If it's me, I would also fall for such a trap. They are all Kage level figures from the great shinobi villages. How could they expect they would suffer with such lineup? But this time, they need to be prepared for the lion to open its mouth. Last time, they only lose some of their flesh, but this time, they have to be prepared to have a few bones broken directly at the very least. There is no way Asahi would kill these experience packs, but even if he didn't kill them, it doesn't mean he lose out. Asahi can still get percentages by defeating them. After that, he can get a lot of benefits from them with the help of war. Anyway, no matter how they count it, he and Iwagakyo won't lose out. That's true, but we need to take care of them quickly. After all, we can't just let the shinobi from our village die in their hands. Konga didn't want to see the people of his village make unnecessary sacrifices. Creator's thoughts. I am Pugwi. Support me at Patreon. https://www.pat*korean.com/I am Remove the asterisk. There are more than 100 chapter there. Comment. 5 comments. Vote. 1 left. Chapter 50. Chapter 50. When did I admit I would be a waste at night? Yes, after all, they are also the people of our village. Since this is a trap, there is no need to make unnecessary sacrifices. Asahi also nodded. Now that his praise have entered the trap, there is no need to continue to pretend. After they left the camp, they saw a scene of extreme chaos outside. Konga-senpai, please let the people in the village withdraw directly. You don't need to stop these guys. Next is my turn. After he saw the situation, Asahi said immediately, and Konga and Roshi nodded their heads. They trusted Asahi completely, so they didn't have any intention to stay, but went straight to evacuate the others. At the same time, the experts from the 3 Shinobi villages had rushed into the inner circle to kill Asahi, but at this moment, they were very confused. The Iwagakyo's elites, who should have resisted them desperately, were evacuated by Roshi. They just left a hole for them to enter. This kind of scene also made them a little uncertain, and they were pondering whether to advance or retreat. Everyone, this may be a method they deliberately came up with, just to make us feel doubt, and then retreat. Since we have already arrived here, it is impossible for us to retreat safely tonight, so let's just do it. A loudly shouted. If there is also the empty fort strategy in this world, it is estimated that he will say that the enemy is using the empty fort strategy, but his statement does make other people, who are a little uncertain before, become firm again. Clap clap clap. At this moment, applauses sounded from in front of them, and then Asahi walked out directly from behind the crowd. Awesome, amazing, your deduction ability is indeed very strong, but you are already a defeated country, but you are now attacking us Iwagakyo so blatantly. Your courage is really big enough. If you lose again this time, can you afford the consequences? Asahi clapped his hands and looked at her and the others with a smile. Asahi has a good control over these people's hearts. They are not the kind of people who would admit defeat casually, so there is a chance they will cause trouble again, so Asahi won't be soft-hearted. Asahi. Sure enough, you are the weakest at night. I have never seen you with such appearance before. After seeing Asahi, A's eyes brightened. Asahi at this moment is not in his daytime state. They have only seen Asahi in his daytime state, and now, Asahi looks like a real 11-year-old kid, and there is no terrifying presence during the day. In the daytime, Asahi's basic height starts at 2 meters, and then it continues to increase rapidly, which can be said to be extremely terrifying. Why do you still talk so much nonsense with him? Take advantage of the night to kill him directly. At this moment, Yagura didn't bother to talk nonsense at all. Although he is like a child, Kyogakyo's shinobi is a very cruel even if it is not in the bloody mist era. At this moment, he rushed up without hesitation, but the moment he rushed up, he noticed Asahi's disdainful and playful eyes. Boom! The moment he approached Asahi, terrifying flames gushed out from Asahi's body again, and his body expanded rapidly. Because he mastered a quarter of his power now, his height instantly reached about 3 meters, and he becomes a little giant. It seems that I can only temporarily become a muscular monster before I fully master this power. Asahi is also a little speechless about his current situation. Right now, he can't get rid of the muscles, but who said that this grace is such a wonderful thing? Originally, this grace was bestowed the one of the 4 archangels, male, and only male had mastered it. If it weren't for the system's production, it is estimated that Asahi would have already embarked on the path of Escanor. The body of a mortal could not bear the grace like sunshine, which led to Escanor burned himself to ashes in the end after using the power of the sunshine. But it wouldn't happen to Asahi. However, before he could fully master it, it is obviously impossible for him to not turn into his muscle form when using his abilities. What? How could it be? Isn't this guy in a powerless state at night? At this moment, the experts from the 3 Shinobi villages were collectively heartbroken. As for Yagura, he was kicked back by Asahi. I was in a powerless state at night. Who said that? Have I ever said something like that? It's nothing more than something that you made up in your own brain. When did I admit that I would be a waste at night? Asahi looked at these guys in front of him with a look of disdain, and they haven't reacted yet. But it can't be helped, even Asahi couldn't react immediately after seeing such scene. Impossible, how can you still have power at night? I don't believe it. At this moment, A's brain was messed up. He seemed to have forgotten about Yagura that was kicked back just now. At this moment, he didn't care about anything, and just rushed directly towards Asahi. But unfortunately, his power is nothing in front of Asahi. Even if he uses lightning release mode to the maximum limit, and he has turned into a lightning bolt, but after rushing in front of Asahi, Asahi squeezed his fist very simply. As a defeated country, you can't even just stay in your own village well, and even run out to cause trouble. I think you have lived enough. As soon as Asahi said these words, the terrifying flames almost shone the entire camp into golden yellow, as if a small sun appeared in the camp. As for Asahi directly punched him in the abdomen. With this punch, Asahi directly destroyed 10 of the ribs, shifting his 5 internal organs, and burning his skin with the flames. It can be said that if he is not treated in time, there is no doubt that will be dead. This is also because Asahi does not intend to kill him. After all, the experience pack must be kept for repeated harvests. When this punch hit A's body shot out like a golden laser, directly shot out of Iwagakyo's camp, and disappeared from everyone's sight. Big brother. At this moment, Killer Bee couldn't help but screamed, and Reikichi's assistant was planning to chase after too, but at this time, Asahi had already appeared in front of them. Come if you want, leave as you want, what place do you think our Iwagakyo? The Reikichi's assistant was directly bombed by Asahi's small son and disappeared without a trace. As for Killer Bee, Asahi stepped directly on him, and a huge hole was directly formed on the ground. Killer Bee also spitted out a mouthful of blood. Even Jinchuriki is so weak now,